All right, hello everybody. A good Tuesday evening. Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here. Wanted to go through our forecast again for you tonight. We'll do exactly like how we did it yesterday. We'll go hour by hour through everything. I'll kind of run through the graphics and then we'll look through the comments. If you have any questions, any specific things that you're wondering about exactly where you live, we'll try and get all that answered for you ahead of our newscast tonight at 10 o'clock. Now, behind me, as you can see, we have a very icy lens right now. This is our Round Rock camera at the Kalahari Resort. Many areas, especially over Williamson County, did not get above freezing today, and we know that this morning we had very widespread issues with the elevated roads, the bridges, the overpasses, lots of traffic issues this morning, and now we've been in a little bit of a lull from the afternoon into this evening. We are not done with the wintry precipitation yet. We have actually our most impactful stretch of weather that unfolds tonight, after midnight into tomorrow morning, and this is when we expect our most significant icing. So this is going to be, or tomorrow will be, a more impactful travel day. This is again going to have more issues than what we had today. Okay, let me show you the graphics here. We'll kind of run through the headlines for everybody. So heaviest round of freezing rain will move in for tonight. Travel tomorrow morning will be worse than travel was this morning. Just want to give you a frame of reference. We expect significant icing for many areas. That is a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, fairly widespread, especially along and west of I-35. I think there will be some isolated pockets, especially western Williamson County, northwestern Travis, Burnett County, parts of Blanco County, that could see, say, 3/4 of an inch, maybe locally higher than that. So quite a bit of ice is on the way for us, and this is going to have big impacts on the travel situation. And I'm looking at the comments and stuff here. So again, if you have any questions or if you just want to let us know where you're watching from, go ahead. Temperature-wise, I've been watching this very closely through the day today. Camp Mabry got right up to 32, but did not go above. So it did not go above freezing today. Now it's back down at 30. We have a sensor on the roof here at KVUE that's sitting at 29 degrees, and we have upper 20s across northwestern Travis County. So Lakeway 29, Cedar Park, Williamson County 28, Laga Vista at 27. And again, that area where temperatures are a little bit colder, I want y'all to be especially mindful. I think that northwestern Travis and western Williamson County could see some very significant icing totals. Across the hill country, temperatures have been in the 20s all day. They did not budge. Looking at some of the comments here, Kristen watching in San Antonio, Lisa's watching in New Braunfels. So we have some folks watching south of Austin, which kind of segues us into what's coming up next. We're seeing some new showers. In fact, Kristen in San Antonio may be seeing some of those rain showers developing. That's going to move into our sub-freezing environment north of I-10, and that's going to kind of kick off our next round of precipitation. So speaking of, here is the radar for you. There's kind of two things that we're watching here. Let me get the cursor going. We have this batch that's developed west of here across the hill country. That is starting to move in now to parts of Mason and Llano County. And then we have this that's developed down to the south, and this is kind of what's drifting north and what will kick things off once we get especially past midnight. And based on the fact that some of this is already developing, it may actually be a little bit earlier, say 10:30, 11, as some of this is rolling in. So a closer look, you see green into the pink. So you get south of I-10, especially south of San Antonio, you're warmer than freezing. But as this crosses into our environment, where just about everybody is at or below freezing, then this is going to cause more icing issues beginning this evening. If you have not checked in with us since yesterday, our winter storm warning has been both expanded and extended. Fayette County was added, so now all of our KVUE counties included, and it's been extended through 6 a.m. Thursday morning. With that being said, I think that the most significant icing, especially for Austin and the I-35 corridor, will be tomorrow morning. Especially across the hill country, we'll need to watch things into Thursday morning. But I think that for Austin and points east, it may be a situation where tomorrow afternoon we go above freezing, and then for the rest of the day into the overnight into Thursday morning, it's above freezing and it's just liquid rain that is not freezing on contact. But we'll get into some of the models here in a second. Again, the winter storm warning for accumulations up to 3/4 of an inch. All right, let me take this full for you, and we will kind of go through the hour by hour, the play-by-play here. Heather's watching in Liberty Hill. Lisa's watching in Taylor. Got Dripping Springs in the house. Yvonne's watching in Buda. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And again, I hope everybody's staying warm tonight, staying safe. Our recommendation to everybody, tomorrow's going to be a worse travel day than today. So if you can, and look, and I understand you got places to be, but our recommendation, stay indoors if at all possible and do not drive. So after midnight tonight, here is 2 a.m. We have this new batch of freezing rain moving in, and watch how quickly this becomes widespread and heavier. So here is tomorrow morning. Just to be frank with y'all, this is looking pretty nasty. This is going to bring significant icing, serious travel issues for tomorrow morning. Again, this will be worse than what we had today. So please, please, if you can, do not get out and drive in this. You see this area right here? Let me circle this for you, where the model is showing what almost looks like thunderstorms, but temperatures are below freezing. There could be some thunder freezing rain or thunder sleet across the hill country. We're getting into some of these heavier downpours that are then pouring into this sub-freezing environment. So again, this corridor that I just circled from up here, places like Cedar Park, stretching down into far northwestern Travis County, southern Blanco County, or southern Burnett County into Blanco County. This area right here, if you get under some of these downpours and temperatures in the mid to upper 20s, that is going to stack up some significant ice pretty quickly. All right, let's keep moving through the day. Now, through the early afternoon, I think Austin is probably still below freezing. So even into the early afternoon, we got to watch this icing. But by 4 o'clock, notice we're back to plain rain, not freezing on impact, especially Austin Point southeast. So some warmer air is going to try and work in through the day. Now, still, really through the entirety of the day, northern I-35 corridor, again, especially Williamson, western Williamson County, into the hill country, it's probably still below freezing, so icing issues will persist and will even persist for some areas as this final round of precipitation moves through Wednesday night into early Thursday. Now for I-35 corridor, especially Austin, southern I-35 corridor and east, I think with this last round Thursday morning, this is more so just plain rain, if not some heavy downpours and even storms moving through and not so much icing. But remember, the winter storm warning is set to go through 6 a.m. Thursday. So for some, especially across the hill country, this could continue to create icing issues through Thursday morning. But by late morning on Thursday, precipitation moves out. Temperatures will still be chilly, but they'll warm safely above freezing, including across the hill country. So really by late morning on Thursday, we'll be done with winter weather issues. And in fact, we quickly trend warmer heading into the weekend. Believe it or not, by Sunday into early next week, I have high temperatures in the forecast near 70. Heather says, what are the roads going to look like Thursday morning? Can buses run? Are you talking about in Austin, Heather? Again, I think that Thursday morning in Austin proper should be in relatively good shape with temperatures above freezing. Now across the hill country that might be different, but I do think Thursday morning will be much better than tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, again, I just want to be clear, I think it's going to be an absolute mess. No snow in the forecast. I know. Yeah, this is a very shallow layer of freezing air. That's why we have freezing rain and some pockets of sleet. Okay, ice accumulations here. Let's go through this. This is a model here. This is our graph model, which is printing out pretty hefty icing. Now, this model, I think, is underdone for some areas based on the fact that the temperatures it's printing out are a little bit warmer than what's actually happening. So this model says about 0.15 of an inch of icing for Austin. I think that could be higher. A 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, I think, will be pretty widespread, especially along and west of I-35, and then numbers taper as you go farther to the southeast. But notice this model is printing out, and again, we'll circle this for you. You start getting into these pinks here, this corridor right in here. This is where I really want to watch things. I think this could be some very significant icing. There will likely be pockets in here that are 3/4 of an inch, if not locally higher. That's going to create significant travel issues. We're talking about not just elevated roads, but surface roads that could be impassable, and a higher likelihood of power outages. And I'm not talking grid power outages. I'm talking icing on tree limbs, which fall and knock down lines, or just icing on the power lines themselves, and they start to sag and you start to have issues. Now, this is my forecast that we put together for you. And again, this kind of paints with a bit of a broad brush, but I think illustrates the potential where even for Austin, we're looking at, say, a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of icing. That's pretty widespread, and that will go especially along and west of I-35. But even as far east as, into parts of Bastrop County and Lee County and Caldwell County, there could be numbers as high as that. Again, not everybody, but as high as that. And then in that pink area from western Williamson, western Travis, northwestern Hayes, Burnett, Blanco, even parts of Gillespie County, where temperatures right now are in the mid-20s. It's colder. I think that there could be some, again, very significant icing there, up to 3/4 of an inch. And that type of icing can create big problems. And I know with snow, when I say, hey, it's going to snow, 3 to 6 inches, I think most folks kind of have an idea in their mind what that means, what the issues are going to be with that. Freezing rain's a lot different. You say a 1/4 inch of freezing rain, it's like, well, what does that even mean? Here's the breakdown. 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, and this will be very widespread. Again, I think many areas are going to be above this, but that's kind of along the lines of what we had this morning. Your cars, windshield coated in ice, bridges, overpasses get icy. You get thin ice on trees, so you'll see it, in the leaves. You'll get the icicles on the roof, stuff like that. When you start going 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, which again will be widespread, including across the metro, heavier ice on trees. So some of those tree limbs getting heavier, they start to sag a little bit or break off. Roads become icy, not just the elevated surfaces, but some of the regular roads. And again, I think even in the metro, this is going to be an issue, especially Northwest Metro tomorrow morning, where all roads start to get really dicey. And then you start to get into some scattered power outages around 1/2 inch. Now, there will be some areas, especially western Williamson, western Travis, where it's over 1/2 inch. That's where it's more widespread tree damage, where these trees are weighted down by the heavy ice. Roads become very dangerous. Again, surface roads, elevated roads, all of them. And you start to get into some more widespread power outages. So those are the kind of impacts that I'm tracking for you. And again, as far as the 7-day forecast goes, I know this has been kind of a long stretch that we're kind of just still in the midst of here. But by late Thursday morning, we'll go above freezing. Precipitation moves out. We're in the 40s, so it's a cold day on Thursday, but we're not going to have any icing issues by the afternoon on Thursday. Friday's in the 50s, 60 Saturday, Sunday 67, and I have 70 back in the forecast by Monday. So warmer weather will quickly resume over the weekend, but we just need to hunker down here for another day or two with the biggest icing impacts yet of the week coming for tomorrow morning. Teresa says, trees already sagging badly. Where do you live, Teresa? Yeah, and this would be very helpful if everybody watching, if you just kind of let me know what you saw today, if you still have ice in the trees and stuff like that. It's really tricky with these icing setups. It's just hard to tell sometimes how much ice is accumulated in areas. So your pictures and your reports are so important and so helpful for us. So please pass those along if you can, and that will be very helpful tomorrow also. Michelle says, have there been a lot of power outages this evening? No, there have not. Now, earlier, there was an outage of about 3,000 people around Leander. If any of y'all are living in Leander, you may have been affected by this. We did have some sporadic power outages, but it never became anything widespread. And again, I'm not saying that we'll have widespread power outages tomorrow, but I do think that power outages will be a bit more of an issue for us tomorrow morning compared to today. And here's that next round that's starting to develop. Again, you see the showers that have developed south of I-10. It's above freezing there, which is why you're seeing green. But as soon as those cross over I-10, they move into our area where temperatures are sub-freezing. That's going to go over to the pink, and we're going to start to see freezing rain that develops here over our area shortly. In fact, based on the radar trends, this may be getting going a little bit ahead of schedule here. Joseph in Giddings says the trees are full of ice there. Janice says ice on patio and steps in Leander. Also had a power outage for an hour. Yeah, so Janice was one of those areas. Again, Leander especially had some scattered power outages earlier today. Glad that didn't last too long. Glad they have that back on for you. Hopefully you're getting warm. Derek in Georgetown says frozen windshield but wet roads. And that was the thing today. Today was just one of those tricky days. I've seen this a few times in a few of the different places I've worked where, and I think tomorrow's going to be different than this. So you walked outside this morning, your driveway may have been just wet. You said, it's completely fine outside. Let's get out on the roads. And then you get onto the highways and those elevated roads, and you don't realize it's icy until it's too late, and then you have a bunch of crashes like what happened today. Now, tomorrow, I think, will be a little bit more of a clear-cut case where folks get out in the morning, and it's super icy, including in their driveway, and they say, I'm not trying this at all. So hopefully, folks don't get out on the roads to begin with tomorrow. I think it's going to be a little bit less enticing because, the icing impacts will be more clear as soon as you step out. Michelle, I live in Belton and the ice is thick on the lawn. My dog is having a hard time walking on it. Marta says, lives in Pflugerville, close to Hutto, and the streets were okay, not as bad as some places. Yeah, good to hear. Again, it's very hit or miss. You know, I live in South Austin. I had to get into work this morning, went home and slept in my apartment. And yeah, I didn't want to try Mopac, which is normally what I would take. So I just got on Lamar, went up and then went over to Burnett. So all of those were surface roads, and I didn't have any issues at all getting in early today. But it's as soon as you get those elevated surfaces today where you started to get issues. And again, I think some of those regular just surface roads are going to be more problematic tomorrow. Kate, where's the most ice going to be for this? Again, I think that northwest Travis County into western Williamson County, southern Burnett County, through Blanco County, even into parts of Gillespie County. I think that's the zone that I'm watching where there's the highest likelihood for the most ice. And I think there will be pockets in there that get a 3/4 of an inch, if not more. Okay, so let's go through the details here one more time. Derek, you should sleep at work tonight. We're on the same page. That is exactly what I will be doing. I got a beautiful air mattress set up. Sometimes I sleep, we have a couch in our weather office, but I don't want to, Shane and Grace will be walking in here in a few hours, so I don't want to disrupt them. I'll find a nice corner. So we're starting to see showers again develop south of I-10. This activity from Kennedy, getting up closer to the I-10 corridor, Pleasanton, San Antonio. This is all moving up to the north, and you're seeing green transitioning into the pink, where again right now this is over an environment south of here where temperatures are mid and upper 30s, where it's not sub-freezing. But as this crosses over I-10 into our area where it is at or below freezing, this will transition over to pink for freezing rain. Our winter storm warning has been expanded and extended through 6 a.m. Thursday. Again, I think the biggest issues, especially around the I-35 corridor, are going to be tomorrow and not on Thursday, but especially across the hill country, there could be icing issues as late as Thursday. So here's the latest timing. Again, latest model runs for you. We get especially past midnight tonight. Really, I think this will probably get going here in the next 2 hours or so as that stuff south of here moves in. Overnight tonight, another round of precipitation moves in, and this will pretty quickly, I think, become much heavier in many spots than what we saw last night into this morning. So here's 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I just hope that people see this and decide, hey, I'm not going anywhere tomorrow morning, because this just looks nasty in the morning with significant icing ongoing. Again, you see where those yellows and oranges show up from Williamson, Northwest Travis, into Blanco, into Gillespie. That's where you start to get some downpours, maybe even some storms with some thunder developing, but that heavy precipitation is then falling into an environment here at ground level that's below freezing. So you get thunder freezing rain or maybe some thunder sleet, but that could create all sorts of issues if you get that heavier precipitation like that in an environment where air temperatures are in the mid to upper 20s. We get into the afternoon tomorrow, and again, it's just going to be one of those days we've got to watch the temperature, but I do think that Austin will go up to 33, maybe 34 by the late day tomorrow. So hopefully by the mid to late afternoon, the icing issues are less pronounced for the immediate Austin metro and points southeast. But you go into North Austin and Round Rock, in Georgetown and Williamson County and across the hill country, it may stay below freezing through the day tomorrow. So those icing issues could persist even into tomorrow night and as late as Thursday morning, which is when, again, our winter storm warning expires. But for Austin and points east and southeast especially, I think it will be just enough above freezing that's mainly rain and maybe even some downpours and, regular old thunderstorms that are moving through early in the day Thursday. Drier air will move in by the mid to late morning. So again, late morning at the latest on Thursday is when we have those icing issues. And then the afternoon it's cold, but it's well above freezing even for the hill country, upper 30s to mid 40s, and that should end our icing issues. So we've had some questions in the chat here. Which areas are we expecting to see the most significant icing? And this kind of begins to tell the story. Again, I think some of these numbers are underdone for the Austin metro. But let me draw this out for you. Where you see these pinks right in here, I'm going to circle it in the red. This is the corridor that I'm watching most closely for the most significant icing. From northern Williamson, western Williamson, far northwest Travis, into southeast Burnett County, into Blanco County, and into far southeast Gillespie County. That is where I think the highest likelihood is going to be of pockets where we could have some 3/4 of an inch or greater totals. And again, that's kind of what we're hinting at here with the hand-drawn map. We're painting with a little bit of a broad brush, but that corridor in the pink, I think, is where the highest likelihood of seeing those bigger accumulations will be. Now, even outside of that, a widespread 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, that is plenty of ice to create significant issues for, pretty much the entire I-35 corridor, even for areas east of that, and then lowering totals as you get into places like Giddings and into Fayette County. So ice accumulations and impacts, again, a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, starting to get more significant icing on trees, roads, even the surface roads starting to become icy, and scattered power outages becoming more of an issue. And then a 1/2 inch plus, which some will see, widespread tree damage. All roads are dangerous to impassable, and widespread power outages are possible. Okay, so I will leave you with that. It is 9:25 right now. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll regroup, and then full forecast in news and traffic and everything coming up on KVUE News at 10 o'clock. We will likely do a couple more updates on TV on KVUE at 11 and then at midnight, and then I'm going to hand things off to the Daybreak crew. So meteorologist Shane Hinton and Grace Thornton will have you covered through tomorrow, which I'm sure will be a very busy morning drive, and then meteorologist Jordan Derensberg and myself will be in for the rest of the day, and we'll have you covered from midday onward. So again, our advice to everybody, stay inside. Tomorrow, the ice is going to be worse. In fact, for many areas, much worse than what we saw today, so I don't want anybody to be fooled and think that today was the only issue. The issues are going to be bigger tomorrow, and I just want people to understand that and avoid the roads if at all possible. So full update for you coming up tonight at 10. We may have some new model data for you as well of the latest on the forecast then. In the meantime, y'all stay safe, get some sleep tonight, and stay warm.